and welcome to the inaugural episode of This Week in SEO. My name is Peter Macinkovic and I'm a digital strategy consultant at HackTraction, based in the sunny, cloudy, rainy shores of Melbourne, Australia. This Week in SEO is a weekly publication that talks about some of the latest news and insights into the world of search engine optimization, and I help provide insights into each article. February is the month of love and I'm hoping to get my wife something really nice for Valentine's Day, but until then, here is this week's roundup. HackTraction SEO Predictions 2015 and some tips as well. This is on the HackTraction website, and Abadhat Sawant, hope I'm pronouncing it properly, provides his prediction for SEO in 2015 and provides 7 predictions from the continuous rollout of Google updates to other aspects. Now, I agree on his points on intent-based search instead of keyword-based search as it's been used traditionally in search engine optimization. That was something we were qualifying during my brief, and I stressed brief time on the Bing Search Quality Review team. Yeah, that's a story for another day. And the added power of citations instead of links to provide value to your pages. What I disagreed with Avadat Sawant was the mobile first SEO, because anybody who understands analytics knows that the behavior of mobile users is drastically different to desktop users, both in search and usability intent. People who use mobile devices have a different search intent because they're usually on the go, and your behavior when you're in front of, say, a desktop device is more of a I'm about to do work now type of intent, rather than, whereas if you want to find directions to a restaurant, that's on a mobile device. So it depends on your context, and it also depends on what your product ideas are. If your business could rely dramatically on mobile SEO, then go for it, and it will be a big thing. But many businesses, especially for, say, B2B businesses, where sometimes anywhere between 2 to 6 interactions with your website will convert a business-to-business lead. Because in business-to-business, first-time users aren't the primary converter, because, you know, some sales guy might stumble on your website, email it to his boss, the boss checks it out, or maybe someone on the project management team or another manager will check it out. So it's all about context, and I've rambled upon, but go check out his predictions article and just maybe leave him a comment and see what you agree or disagree with. The next article is Online Search Becomes the Most Trusted Media Source. This is from eMarketer, which is one of the best resources on the internet for marketing electronically, hence the eMarketer. So eMarketer has published an article that the already dying traditional media industry didn't like to hear. 64% of users, when interviewed, trust search engines the most, whilst traditional media dipped to 62%. That means results returned from a search engine, users trust that, they believe that. So this is a credit to search engine companies, really, because they've developed a relationship by providing results, and because users continually get results from search engines, they essentially develop a trust, a relationship with the whole search process. So online search remains strong when users need to find a business. So 31% surveyed users stated that search engines are their go-to, their first point of contact when finding a business, especially strong for business-to-business marketing. So this was up 2% from the previous year. It'll probably keep climbing until about 2018, and I'll speak about 2018 right now. eMarketer also expects search ad spend to increase by 12.2% in 2015. And a steady growth for the next few years, and mark 2018 as the year the desktop search spend will go down with the rise of mobile devices. Yes, so as I mentioned earlier with the other article, was the rise of mobile search intent, and as I said, search intent is very different. There's a very different ad spend for mobile search. People who do mobile searches are probably looking for something to do right now, because unless you're being very passive, you don't spend that much time on your mobile device consecutively doing an activity. Like, you won't be doing you'll seldom be doing a productive task. You're not going to be writing your blog post, or maybe you will, but it's just very different because you're on the move with a mobile device. That's their primary selling point over a traditional device. I mean, because people often classify stuff like tablets as a mobile device, but I can't remember who did a presentation, but they classify mobile device as like someone on the move, like specifically who can receive phone calls, for example, so they can be interrupted with their experience at any time. But yeah, so those are great numbers from the eMarketer one, just to provide the scope that the digital business right now, especially digital marketing and digital enterprise, is just been going gangbusters. Even during the economic crisis in America from 2008, basically people who worked in the technology field didn't feel the effects of the economic crisis. It was an industry of growth, and it still is an industry of growth, and everyone predicts 2018, but who knows when it will stop. That's the wonderful thing about technology, is that it's constantly innovating. Basically any laws or legislation that any government could create cannot possibly even come close to keeping up. It's quite incredible. And it's another tangent from that article. So the next article is, these social media clickbait all-stars are quietly building a massive SEO traffic profile. I might be misreading the title there because I have it in my notes and I'm reading the raw URL. But Brian Provost from Define Media Group says that these clickbait social share magnet articles producing websites are quietly and inevitably building a large-scale SEO traffic. Brian showcases a graph from SimilarWeb that outlines how BuzzFeed's SEO traffic almost doubles every single month. That's great authority from a website like BuzzFeed, obviously, who does all those cat articles. Now, whilst these websites are currently reliant on social traffic sources, search engine optimization is growing for many of these websites at the same rate of BuzzFeed, albeit lesser in scale, because obviously BuzzFeed is a massive website. It's one of the largest publication websites in the world. I mean, they don't produce much news and stuff like that, but it's BuzzFeed. In fact, comparing Upworthy's SEO traffic, it stalls in comparison, mainly due to the poor on-site optimization. Brian also offers some other points on the different types of content shares and their growth for search engine optimization, but I highly recommend you read the article. It's on his personal website, brianprovost.com. The next article is 7 creative link building techniques to improve your website SEO. Anand Srinivasan, hope I'm pronouncing your name properly, Anand, from leadjoint.com writes on entrepreneur.com about some creative link building techniques. And I love creative link building articles because it's the fun aspect of search engine optimization, the fun part of SEO. There's also a great article on Point Blank SEO where John Cooper lists over 52 responses for creative link building stories. I highly recommend that you Google Point Blank SEO creative link building. It's a great article just for fun. But back to Anand's article, he lists some great creative outreach techniques, such as using Facebook ads to reach journalists directly. So this is highly targeted reaching out for public relations. It's not even an SEO technique. Basically, you can grab a guide such as in Australia we have Margaret Gee's media guide. It's on connectweb.com.au, and that lists all of the contact details for public relations, so all the news agencies, blogs, newsletters, radio stations, television stations. So if you want to get in touch with the editor of the Green Guide, for example, for the Age publication here in Victoria, Australia, you would just grab a copy of Margaret Gee's book. It's a couple $100, but you can grab one from the library, find the details, and just send an email to do public relations and PR. You can also use connectweb.com.au as an online database, and as an RMIT alumni, I can use it whilst I'm at RMIT University. So whenever I'm in a city, it's very convenient. So that's one technique, and that's a great technique. Another technique is building industry tools or creating something fun that people will link to. The whole mantra behind creative link building is essentially thinking about creative ways to create linkable content, or creating linkable motives, so motivating people to link to your content. I mean, one example as well, I think in this article or in John Cooper's article, I think in both actually, is offering a service like redesigning a banner for a link, like, thanks for helping me out in a banner, which technically isn't buying a backlink, but if you understand what money is fundamentally and what it's supposed to represent, a service is money basically. So you're providing a value to get value. So it's a trade, it's a consensual contract, but it's a creative way. I mean, you don't have to use money. Money is merely a proxy for other things, so you can skip the middleman of money to get some really good backlink sources. Yep, and the final link in this episode for This Week in SEO is an article or an update to my SEO page on my personal website. This is a sponsored post, meaning that, if I don't get any sponsors, I'll be listing my own website. And of course, being the inaugural episode, obviously I don't have any sponsors. So from the Apex Action website, the search engine optimization page is a good high-level overview for search engine optimization, talking about just what is search engine optimization, how it works, and how to build links both for relevance and authority. And it might be an interesting read for you out there, whether you're very new to SEO or your years of experience. It might be not as in-depth as you liked. Like I'll just be talking about what relevance is, and I'll talk about it now briefly, not in my notes, but basically relevance is what your content is related to, and authority is how much you trust worthiness of your website is. You might think of, if you ever seen, I think Majestic SEO has ranking factors that are citation flow and trust flow, which is basically the flow of links and how trusted those links are to your website. And I briefly talk about that in my webpage. It's also my page, so there's a little bit of sales copy in the end, like why you should use an SEO consultant. But if you're just interested in the concepts, just read the top part. I don't need your sales, or maybe I do. Okay, so that will do it for this episode of This Week in SEO, the first week of February for the 2015 calendar. Thank you for catching the inaugural show, and I'll speak to you next week. Good night, Earthlings.